Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We'll be getting started in just a couple of minutes here, so hold tight and we'll be getting started in a few. All right, we will go ahead and get started now. So let me get started. All right, so hopefully everyone can see that. Thank you again for joining us today. My name is Riley Knavish. I am the product marketing specialist here at Incentive. And we're really excited to take this opportunity to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of UtilityGenius with all of you. In the past year, we've had an explosion of growth with the product. We've seen us hit almost 30,000 users, launch a partnership with Energy Star, and really just seen such exciting things out of this product. We'll be discussing some of the updates we've made in the last year with our CTO, Mike Cham, and then our VP of Customer Operations, Jason Brown, will be walking us through a full demo of the product, highlighting some of the exciting new features that we've added throughout the last year. We see even bigger and better things coming in year 2 of UtilityGenius, so we appreciate all of you tuning in, sticking with us, and we hope you're excited to see all of this. Just one housekeeping item is we'll have time for questions and answers and feedback at the very end of the webinar, but you don't need to wait until the end to ask your questions. You'll see in the GoToWebinar control panel, there is a section for questions. I'll be moderating those the entire time, and at the end, we will get to as many questions as we can. And if we don't answer your question, I'll download them after, and you can see an email in a couple of days where we'll get back to you. So without further ado, I will be turning it over to CTO Mike Cham to talk over the past, present, and future of UtilityGenius.
Thanks, Riley. And welcome, everybody. We're very excited about today. It's been a whole year since we've had the site up and running, and we have been getting a tremendous amount of usage, as Riley mentioned. I just wanted to walk through a little bit of the background, sort of where we've been, why we went down this road, and what we've learned and where we're going. And then we'll follow with some more fun stuff after that. So, what we wanted to cover here, and we have a timeline showing, is we want to show sort of where we've been and what are the major milestones along the way. Summer of 2021, we had this crazy idea of like, let's create a free website that has utility rebates on it. So we went off and figured out how to design a website that would appeal to a mass audience about something as exciting as utility rebates. We have had a long experience here at Incentive Energy of working with utility rebates and the industry. And so we drew upon that experience and knowledge to be able to come up with what has become UtilityGenius. So back in July of 2021, we started digging the hole in the ground to be able to build the platform for UtilityGenius. And then by we did some initial demos and got some initial feedback at Light Fair 2021 in New York, and then did our official launch in November of last year. We officially launched with a couple different packages that we'll go into. And then over that time period from the launch in November, then we were able to see a tremendous amount of growth. Who doesn't like free? And so as the usage was increasing, we thought, well, here's another crazy idea. Let's create the technology in a package where someone else can put the same information on a different website. And so for that, we built what we call our UtilityGenius widget. And by the time we got that going and the discussions with a couple sites that were out there, UtilityGenius, Energy Star became the first entity, that website that was able to put the widget up on their site in September, which is a great partner. And Energy Star has been a great partner working with us on this. It's really been able to give their customers, their constituents, a great, easy to find resource on the Energy Star site. And then since then, it's been rolled out on a number of other sites as well. Then soon after, we weren't sitting still. We've just recently launched the UtilityGenius Buildings capability, which enables UtilityGenius users to upload information about specific buildings that they might manage or have some other interest in, and then they're able to receive some custom rebate analysis about what kind of rebates are available at that building, and then be notified about changes that might occur in rebate programs at the different buildings that they have interest in and have loaded into their account. So that's a little brief overview of sort of where we've been. It's been a busy year, and the next piece we really want to get into is start getting into the background and what were the initial goals. So if we can change the slide. Oh, you are. And so, the background, what made us come up with this crazy idea. As we started looking at where we've been and what we do, we realized that increasing awareness generally about energy efficiencies programs, especially in the commercial industrial area, had two good benefits. One was for the planet, and one was for our business. We believe that energy efficiency logically helps drive a lot of beneficial change in the environment. Not only does it help customers save money on electric bill, but those follow-on savings drive back into how much carbon is being released in the atmosphere, how much congestion there is on the grid, and a number of other things that, if we can solve those issues, are just good for all of us. And so, people don't always realize that these rebates are out there for all the different kinds of technologies that are more energy efficient. And so, from a doing good perspective, it was easy for us to look at, like, well, let's find a way to take some of our information and make it more readily available. We also believe for our business model that just increasing awareness around these programs is generally good for our customers and the value that they see in us. And so that those two things going together really made it a no-brainer for us to explore going down and building a free website. The second piece is really we already have all the data. We do, our history is we maintain very deep, accurate information around different energy efficiency measures. And so for us to be able to take sort of a slice off the top of that information and make it available, it's pretty straightforward. And then, as we started looking at, we've engaged with different stakeholders in energy efficiency programs for 10 years or so. We took a look at and profiled the different types of users that could make use of this information. And so, that's where, we took a look and said, okay, we've got, there's, in our experience, there's sort of occasional users, there's frequent users, and then there's power users. And so, at launch, we designed a set of ways in which users could sign up for the tool. They could not sign up at all and use a bunch of information for free. That was for our occasional user, our basic plan. if they wanted to create an account on our system so they could personalize their experience and be proactively notified about changes in programs. That was our frequent user, so we created our starter plan. And then lastly, there are plenty of people out there who, rebates are, utility rebates are a big part of how they do business or what their job function is. And so we created the pro plan for those power users to be able to do more customization, provide more powerful analytics, and then continue to build on that power user pro plan capabilities as we continue to grow. Next slide. And so then we set our goals. And so what we were really trying to achieve was a couple of things. One was definitely, as the theme of this has been going, it's educating the general public, commercial and industrial business owners, the contractors or service providers that help them with energy efficiency products, the product manufacturers, the utilities themselves, all these other stakeholders to provide a great experience that makes it easy for people to understand what utility incentives are available and maybe applicable to them. The two then pairs of things that we wanted to do from a goal perspective is one, increased engagement with utility programs. So, from UtilityGenius, you're certainly be able to see some basic information about the programs, and then, be able to link over to the utility website itself to get any additional detail. But also increased engagement with the product manufacturers. Those are the ones that are providing all this cool technology that's enabling energy efficiency to happen. And so, building into our platform an ability to engage and view products that have rebates available to them or qualify for rebates in these programs, so we could help the users get to that next step of saying, okay, I realize that there are now technologies that I can receive an incentive that makes it more affordable for me to do a project. What can I go get? And so, both of those engagement things are key goals of the platform. And then, just to wrap it all up, we're just trying to provide everyone that would come to UtilityGenius with an easy to use, affordable resource. So, next slide. So here we are a year later, and what have we learned from launching UtilityGenius? The number one, and probably 2, 3, and 4 is that it was very needed. We've gotten a tremendous amount of users, but B, feedback, and the feedback all leads towards usually a lot of thank yous around that UtilityGenius is easy to use. That people like the fact that we have made the utility programs very consistent looking and able to be compared, and it's a very consistent experience between looking at different utility programs on our platform. The data is very complete. We're able to cut great coverage of the measures that we cover, and the price was great. For the different people, the different use cases out there. I only need utility information a couple times a year. They just need a basic amount of it. That platform is available for them. But if they need that deeper amount of engagement, personalization, notification, things like that, then the right price was there. Another takeaway was, if you give users free data, they will actually use it. So we've had interaction on every single utility page on our website, from big giant utilities in metropolitan areas down to small little munis and co-ops that happen to offer different kind of programs. It's been amazing that they really left no stone unturned when it comes to utility programs on the platform, which is fantastic. Another thing from feedback is people are looking for that this is all great. How can I get more? And that's a theme that we're going to go into later, is both from a deeper dive into existing information, or how can we get some more measures, or how can we get more information that go beyond electric utilities. And those last 3 points there are really driving a fair amount of where UtilityGenius is going next. So next slide. So coming soon. So here we are 1 year later, and we're not sitting still. We have a number of projects in the queue, on the drawing board, or still in some minds here that we're working on and putting on the schedule to get be able to release in 2023 and beyond. So I'll start with number one. We launched the UG buildings, which was really the first part of a 2 or 3 act play. The next piece is, which at the top of my list here, the projects, the free version of projects. So what we're building is an ability within UtilityGenius for lighting to begin with, where someone can come in and specify a room by room, line by line, existing and proposed lighting solution, and be able to receive, what is the energy savings that's associated with such a project, and what is the rebate estimate for that project as well. There'll be some limitations to it, but the idea here is that being able to provide that deeper level of information, that building or site-specific application to receive some excellent analysis around being able to do a lighting project, and then we'll expand it from there. The next, the third part of that act is then there'll be some additional functionality for people who are looking for a more customized project experience, to be able to build their own solutions, to integrate with third-party proposal tools. That this tool is not meant to replace other tools that are out there. It's meant to work with them. And so for people who have made an investment in existing third-party proposal tools, the idea is that this will feed right into that. So another piece is for those companies that we've got a lot of people asking if they've invested in their own tools internally for sales or for doing project specification, or just any other kind of use for the information. It's being able to get an API access into our database. So that's another project that we're working on that should be able to be accessible within the next 6 to 9 months. And then we're always looking for and trying to figure out new enhancements to just our pro account. What other information can we gather that would be of use to these pro power users, and so there'll continue to be enhancements at that level. And then finally back to the content. We have a long list of information to be added to the platform. So everything from additional measures that have to do with energy efficiency products, measures that have to do with energy efficiency services. So service would be rehabbing a piece of equipment rather than replacing it. Financing, there's in addition to rebates, another huge financial resource that's out there to help people do energy efficiency projects is energy efficiency specific financing. And so there are a number of partners out there we're working with to be able to bring that information into the platform as well. And then, getting beyond electric utilities, both, non-electric utilities, being able to find them and add them in the platform, as well as, as we're certainly seeing the U.S. government pass legislation around energy efficiency and making funds available, being able to bring all these other entities into our space. It goes a little beyond UtilityGenius, but being able to have federal, state, county, city, port authority, whatever other kind of entities out there that are offering energy efficiency, either incentives or financing, and make those available and easily found at the platform as well. And the last piece is then, we are working on some ways with utilities specifically to provide direct connections into those utilities, either for filing rebates, for buying products, or the like, to make actually acquiring and using those utility rebate dollars a lot easier in the process of purchasing equipment. So there's a lot coming up. We're excited. We're excited with the progress and the feedback and the number of users we received so far, and we see a bright future and a lot more great capabilities coming down the road. So thank you. Back to you, Riley.
Right, and with that, I'm going to hand it over to our VP of Customer Operations, Jason Brown, who's going to walk you through a demo.
Hey, everybody. And happy first anniversary, UtilityGenius. Thanks everybody for joining today. Many of you are already on our mailing list and have used UtilityGenius, and hopefully you found your way through it. What I wanted to go through are a couple, key use cases and features that we found are very valuable, and maybe you can add to your continued journey through UtilityGenius going forward. I first just want to start at the home page. A typical journey that we see majority of our users take is to, first zoom in on their state. And first off, if you're ever wondering what these green colors are for on the main page, not to just differentiate states, but loosely for all measures, this is a rating of a darker green means there's more rebate potential in those states than other states. There are a couple ways to find your utility. You could click on the state and find all utilities in that area. You can also select the state from here, especially in the Northeast where states get tiny and tight, they may be hard to click on. And then others, you can just search for your utility or by state or by zip code, and it will take you right to your utility. I want to take us on a journey to finding the exact rebate for a lighting product. And it's the same journey for any of the measures, regardless of whether it's VFD, HVAC, or other. I'm going to start with Pico. Our home base is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And so we go to Pennsylvania a lot, and there's still a lot of great rebate programs. This first view is the same for every state. If you're ever wondering why there are only a certain small number of utilities there on the right, when there are, sometimes hundreds in a state, we rank the top, 6 to 8 at most by C&I, commercial and industrial customers of that utility. So it is most likely that our users will be with one of these 6 in Pennsylvania, and immediately by the iconography on the right, those technologies that are incented by those utilities. If you ever want to see more utilities, you can click here and I'll show you an example of that for Ohio. For Pico, use an example, Mike alluded to the uniform look regardless of utility. So this is the one view for every single utility, whether you're a municipality, a co-op, or a large utility provider. And we track these measures today. A lot of the measures that Mike mentioned, we've got a long list. They'll start to pop up here. They're gray until a utility has a program or if the program is open. And we'll be adding more as more programs come online here. One bit of feedback we've gotten from utilities is, my direct install is not on there, my small business program isn't on there. So we're looking forward to putting those on here going forward. Always to the right, you'll see similar information, based on the utility. It'll say the specific rebate program name. In this case, it's the Smart Ideas program. It says the number of C&I customers within that territory and their average kWh rate for that space. You always know better from your utility bill, but that's a nice average to use. I'm going to take right over here to the left. You can see that you can click over to midstream as well. Just if you're a new user or new in the rebate space, downstream is your typical potentially apply early, get a pre-approval, and then prove that you did the project afterwards and send in an invoice and cut sheet to prove you did the install. Midstream is where you can purchase directly from a participating distributor, and they will net the rebate at the point of purchase, and the distributor takes care of the paperwork for you. I'm going to take us on a downstream journey in lighting. So if I were looking if I'm an industrial facility, for example, I think is a great use case, and I'm looking for high bay rebates for the warehouse or the industrial area of my facility. These categories here are the DLC categories, or the QPL, depending. For HVAC, it's AHRI. And for high bays, kind of that initial level of information it depends. It's a range of $135 to $220 per fixture. In some utilities, that'll be a static number, but in this case, it's a range because it depends on what the existing system was. And then the next step of the journey is you need to really know your existing system, and you need to know what the new product is going to be in the delta of watts and kWh and hours, right? So what you then have, and it's very robust within the lighting space, is a list of manufacturers. At any time, you can see the entire list of manufacturers through the More Manufacturers button, but 5 will always rotate into the space that we were looking at. So if I selected, for example, Acuity Brands Lighting. What that does is it takes you to, and we have, the biggest lighting manufacturers out there, Acuity, Current, Cooper, Signify, Hubble. You can go to all of their products and find that it has taken you to their website, to a widget that is already pre-filtered to the product that you were selecting on UtilityGenius. So in this case, you'll be able to see high bay fixtures already filtered to prescriptive. And now that the fixtures are crossed and we've entered in an existing system over here of assuming a 400 watt metal halide and 5,000 hours, which you can change, you can then go and find that this specific SKU, which is a 24,000 lumen package, this many watts, this efficacy, has a specific rebate of $220 that actually hit that peak. And it lets you know that if you specify that based on the cut sheet with a control, an integrated control, that there's another $11 per fixture. So if you put in controls, you can get $231. We still then continue the journey from the manufacturer's website to the utility website, where you now have access to the cut sheet, the DLC or QPL, relative QPL listing, which you often need to submit for your rebate. Attach your invoice to it, and you can submit for your rebate after you've gotten pre-approval if that's required. The journey is very similar for HVAC. If I go back a level to the utility page and I select HVAC, and we're continuing to grow this with manufacturer partners, you can see for each of these AHRI categories, one that we've just added, which I'll zoom in on, is ductless mini splits, Mitsubishi Electric, a new partner. And the rebate here is $50 per ton, but it depends on how many tons. So if you were to take that journey to the Mitsubishi website, same idea, preloaded to Pico, and it automatically generates you the qualified product within that category and has calculated the exact rebate for a mini split. So more to come on that, calculating the exact rebate. Back to UtilityGenius. I did want to just take a look at Ohio real quick, just to demonstrate the depth of the database and how you can use it depending on what your business is. If you were to ask many people in the industry how the electric rebates are in Ohio right now, they'd say they're all shut down. And that's because some of the top utilities have closed their programs for the short term. But that doesn't mean there aren't pockets of areas where you can target where rebates are still available. So to demonstrate that in Ohio, a great idea is to, where I said, instead of just looking at the primary utilities, look at all. This will give you, all of the utilities in that space. And the utility is really defined as the service provider for that area. There are large utilities like First Energy, but there are smaller ones, municipalities and co-ops that may or may not offer their own programs. And if you look deeply into Ohio, there are a number of villages and cities and municipalities that do still have open rebate programs for many technologies. Sometimes these are little sleeper, very high rebate numbers that aren't exactly well advertised because they're not the biggest rebate areas If you own a facility and you're not in that village, great. But if you're a manufacturer or a contractor targeting work in Ohio, for example, or any state, this story is true, you can target areas where rebates are available. Georgia Power is another one. If you were from Georgia, you'd think everyone is on Georgia Power. There are dozens of little areas like this that are still open for business for rebates. A great example of that is back on our homepage on the bottom right are all the recent program changes. This is updated frequently. Any program that goes from open to closed or closed to open is always annotated here. And you'll see that the ones that have recently been opening in the last month are actually cities and municipalities. So at a time where most people would say programs are closing down toward the end of the year, some are open. And we've always got access to that. What you'll see next to each of these rebate programs on the right of these utilities are these heart symbols. What you can do with those is you can heart a couple of utilities on the utility page. And once you've done that, those are considered your favorites. And they'll always pop up here. So I frequently look at these. So I have those there. And those recent program changes are always there. You can also pre-select those to automatically give you emails. So if you work in the state of Ohio and you're looking forward to when the utilities will open up with new rebates, once you're registered as a user, go into your settings and turn on notifications, and we'll email you directly when things change. You won't have to come to this. We can keep you informed automatically. I'm going to do a quick journey to California as well, just to demonstrate another couple things that are coming and that we're starting to track. California not only has rebate programs, but they're also growing into what's called the California Market Access Program. This is a program where they're allowing the use of smart meter data to do pre and post measurement and verification in lieu of your typical complex prescriptive type programs. And when we're tracking that, so on the top right here, and you'll see some more of this evolve into other California utilities, SDG&E and SoCal Edison, for example, where you'll be able to leverage those rebate programs. They're not always direct with the utility through some third parties like Recurve. And up on the top right, you can see a way to connect to how to get access to those dollars as well. Another one we're tracking, you'll see in the bottom left of every utility page, is a typically grayed out business marketplace. While utilities have proliferated, have very much been successful with residential marketplaces, commercial marketplaces are growing, and as those continue to grow, we'll be adding those here. And if you're on our mailing list, we'll let you know when new ones go live. This marketplace would be where you can not only select your product, but actually purchase them in a digital midstream style and net the rebate at the point of purchase through an e-commerce type site. A couple other features that Mike mentioned was buildings. Buildings just came out. It's an exciting new function. And if you haven't used it yet, it's right up here to the top left. And I'm going to take a look to share with you what that looks like. The journey we went on for lighting was a very specific by measure lighting only look at an estimated rebate. What buildings is all about is entering in your rebate and just a little bit of simple information for your site, mainly that the utility is entered in correctly here. And once we know your zip code and address and utility, then we can give you a high level estimate on your entire building from an every measure perspective. So in this case, this particular building, this is our headquarters in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You can see that there are 28 categories incentivized within LED. Controls are also incentivized, HVAC, VFDs, and electric charging stations. If you ever see an arrow here, what that is telling you is that there have been changes and we're tracking those changes. So you can look back and see a little bit of history of the key things that have changed. In this case, they changed some PTAC units from $60 to $70. And when those things change, if you've hearted this utility in your building's area, we would have told you that via an email notification. You can download this report into a PDF file and send it out to someone. Maybe it's your building owner or your local contractor to say, come and audit these facilities for me, please, because I know there are rebates for my building. And in this PDF format, it's still clickable right back to the utility. And this is, in this case, our building is in Duquesne Light, and the user of that PDF can come right back and continue the journey to specify products to meet that rebate category. Right next to buildings, you'll see coming soon. So Mike explained what projects would be. That will be coming soon here, and that's where that will be located, allowing you to take a building and then zoom in on the building and each of the systems and create before and after solutions and calculate entire ROI with rebates included. And then the last thing I wanted to go through today was, everything we just went through is always, is for free for all. But Mike mentioned for some enterprise customers where it's their business to be able to leverage the utility database on a frequent basis for business efforts, we have made an economical value prop for those enterprise customers. And the main feature that adds as a pro user is I'm logged in as a pro user now. It opens up this formerly grayed out area on the bottom. And what this lets a user do is for any technology, select a category. So I'm within lighting and it's the same for all. I'm going to go back to high bay luminaires. That was the example we used earlier. And what this is doing is querying the entire database to tell you all utility rebate programs for all of North America, US and Canada, that are currently open and what their values are. And once those have calculated, you'll start to see each utility by line, the state, whether it's open or closed, is pre-approval required, and what's the minimum and max rate per what unit. And in this case, what we've seen a lot of use cases for business owners is just creating a bit of a digital heat map of where the utilities are highest to help with their business efforts, whether they're selling product or services across the country. So we love empowering people to target areas where the rebates are best to make sure they're empowering that space with more and more energy efficient equipment. It's downloadable in CSV. and can be downloaded midstream or downstream. And again, for all of the technologies that are listed on our main site here. And more coming soon. And just to close, and then I'll turn it over to Riley, is if you're ever curious about that enterprise package, it is available on this pricing page. The two starter and basic are just based on you giving us email address, and that's probably why you're here. You've already given us your email address so we could tell you when there are notifications and content such as we're doing today. But also that professional license on the right is available. And for all users on the call and all users, we're going to have a special through the end of the year where this is going to drop to $49 a month or $29 a month if you pay for a year in advance. So if that's of interest to you, please, you can go to the website and sign up for that in that fashion. So love, if there are any questions, please go ahead and load them into the chat, and we'll have Riley close up, and then we'll answer your questions shortly. Thank you, Riley.
Yeah, thank you, Jason. All right. So thank you, Jason, for that walkthrough of UtilityGenius. Give me 1 second here. There we go. Sorry about that, everyone. So as Jason said, we're running a few end of the year sales. Don't worry about having to have that all memorized right now. I will be sending a follow-up email after this call, probably this afternoon. So you'll have easy access to all of that to go navigate and refresh yourself on those features. But we also want to introduce a couple of other new things that we've added before we dive into the Q&A, just a couple of other places that you can go for more information about UtilityGenius. So we've recently updated our resources tab on the website. It's next to that pricing tab that Jason was just in on the toolbar. So that resources tab now has our demo videos featuring a video on our pro features, as well as some information on the buildings feature. We'll also be hosting more webinars coming soon. So we'll be hosting our annual Utility Trends webinar in late February, early March. Just got to wait for all program details to be finalized by all of the utilities out there. And then stay tuned for another one of these UtilityGenius webinars. We only turn one once, but we will be doing another one of these to review some of these projects features that are coming in 2023 and make sure that you're getting access to all of the new features as we release them. And then finally, also in our resources tab, we've just updated our midstream reports for Q4. So we have those for LED, HVAC, and EV. The LED and HVAC reports are completely free to download, so you can just go in, get those downloaded. And then our EV one is on sale for the end of the year as well for $49, or if you sign up for the pro license, it will be free. So just a couple of other resources that you can go to. And with that, we will kick off some Q&A, but if you have to go to another meeting or you have some questions that you think might require a more in-depth answer, please feel free to email me at this email on the screen, or when you receive your follow-up email, just reply directly to that. I'll receive it and we can work with you on whatever you need. All right. So let's get started with some questions. So the first question is, does UG take into account third-party electric supply rates, for example, Constellation?
So not at this time. The electric rates that we show are based on what's been reported to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, and so we're taking that information and making that available, which provides then basically an overall view of what the electrical cost is, but not necessarily taking into account any specific contracts that anybody has or any third-party power things like Constellation have in that very specific environment. Now, in our, coming up in our projects tool, there is an opportunity to enter in your own electrical rates when you're doing energy savings analysis for a project that you're doing. So you would be able to take that into account in that very localized situation.
All right. Thank you, Mike, for that answer. So we'll move on to the next question. And as we're answering questions, if you have any follow-up questions that come to mind, again, feel free to just drop another question in the chat. So are all of the functionalities Jason reviewed free and paid for the downstream data available for midstream data as well?
Like, I believe that's right. Like, there are midstream and downstream in the downloads, or midstream and downstream options for all technologies.
For Pro, was that the question?
Yep. Yeah, for Pro.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So where we certainly are publishing those reports, but where there are other technologies that are starting to see some availability within midstream, we're showing those as well.
Thank you for that answer. So moving on to our next question, someone has asked, how would one filter for multifamily rebates or incentives only?
Multifamily is a category that we're looking to add. Multifamily, we've been talking to a bunch of utilities about this. It's an unusual part of a utilities energy efficiency program, because those buildings are, can be both commercial and residential within that same building. So that's a near term on the list. There's a lot of great multifamily programs that are out there. Multifamily, I think, from a energy efficiency and equity perspective, is certainly a big deal. And so, we've been looking at, how can we bring those multifamily. Multifamily sometimes is, just overlay on top of the existing programs that are out there, the commercial, industrial, residential programs. In other cases, they are standalone. And so, that's definitely on the list for being able to add into the platform in the very near future.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. All right. Another question, is there going to be a UtilityGenius app for iPhone users specifically, or Android?
It's certainly something we've been thinking about. It's probably just a matter of just time and resource to be able to get that out there, and just we've been trying to make UtilityGenius as mobile friendly as a website can be, to make that easy to use. But there certainly are some I can see where we've certainly seen where there's some benefits. I mean, I'm a big app user on my own phone. It would be great to have a UtilityGenius app on there. So you can probably see it. So I appreciate the ask. Helps bump it up higher on the list.
Yeah, it is, to your point, Mike, we've heard from a lot of users that a lot of users use it on a mobile device already as a website, and it's actually very engaging as a mobile website. But we have gotten that feedback. So if as afterwards, Riley left her email too. If you are interested in that or have comments, please reach out. We appreciate the feedback.
Yeah, like Jason said, feel free to email some of those suggestions, just so they don't get lost. If you've ever seen us at a trade show, we can vouch for the fact that UtilityGenius is very iPad friendly, which I know isn't the same as an app, but it looks really good on a tablet, and it looks good on a phone too, but not quite app. It's not a downloadable app yet. All right. This is a great question from Jamie for us. How can I get one of the UG shirts that Jason is wearing?
That's free with the promo. Send us an email. Love spreading the word of UtilityGenius, and appreciate you'd want to do that for us and wear it around. Wear it proudly.
So we also have really cool stickers if you ever have the opportunity to see us in person.
Yeah. We're attending today. Send an email.
Yeah, I will mail a sticker to anyone who emails me and says they would like a sticker. Can't make any promises on t-shirts though. All right, another question. Is there functionality to cross-check a large list of projects?
So cross-check, what you can do today in the buildings feature is if you follow, we have a template CSV file that if you take your site list and enter it in bulk, you can have all of your projects, all of your buildings loaded. So you can cross-check buildings from a rebate availability perspective. So you would be able to see if you have a number of buildings that this site has more rebate potential than this site. So at this time, that's as deep as you can go. As we get into projects, you can go deeper in each project and get to estimates by building. But for now, you can at least benchmark from where rebates are better for your buildings than worse. Hope that answers the question. If it doesn't, please send a follow-up.
Awesome. So we'll get through a couple more questions.
If you do have a list of buildings and you need, want to walk a brief demo specific to your site loading, feel free to reach out. We can jump on a quick 15-minute call and help guide you through that and answer any questions you have for your project.
Yeah, thank you for that, Jason. That's another great point. If any of you have any functionality questions that you'd like to see maybe in a little bit more detail, again, just email me and I will either show you or connect you with the right person to show you how we can make your dreams happen on UtilityGenius and get you going in the right direction. All right. So please keep dropping your questions in the chat. I'm going to ask a couple of frequently asked questions to our panelists now, just things that we've heard a lot in our experience. One of the questions that I've seen us get asked a lot is how we maintain our database and what that process looks like. If Mike, you want to speak to that a little bit?
Sure. So it's a combination of human experts and technology. So we basically have a three-tier strategy. One is we maintain a list of here's all the utilities that are out there. Here's all a large list of all the websites and utility pages that would contain any interesting information. And then as utilities publish changes, we're able to track immediately when that change happens. And then we have a team of people internally here who their whole very, very valuable job here is to be able to take this utility information, which is anybody that's looked at more than one utility program will know is hard to compare to each other many times, and be able to pull that information into our model and our database. On top of that, then we're registered with any utility program that's out there that allows us to register for them. So we receive advanced updates, late breaking events, or invitations to webinars that they're hosting as they do new program kickoffs and information like that. So we're getting those notices sent to us, and we're able to be prepared for changes. And then finally, we do work with a number of utilities and have over the years, or have great relationships with them, such that we're getting advanced notice from just conversations with utilities and able to bring that into our database as well. So the combination of those three things really enables us to maintain the currency of the information and the breadth of the information, and accuracy.
And Mike, we've also been getting a lot of feedback, right, from utilities as well, saying we have there are some programs that aren't so easy to find online on the web, and so utilities are now seeing this and reaching out to say, hey, how do I make sure I get this program up there as well, which is great. So if you're in that world, we're looking to increase the database in a more direct way as well. It's exciting.
Awesome, thank you both. All right, another question here is, how can a manufacturer get listed on the UtilityGenius website? Are there specific requirements that need to be met, or how does that process go?
Yeah, great question. The main requirement is that you are certified with a QPL. So for lighting, if you have DLC listed product or Energy Star listed product, if you have if you're certified with AHRI for HVAC equipment, you qualify. So, shoot us an email. We'll share with you what that looks like and what the process looks like. But that's the key requirement. You need to have rebatable product or services that you offer. Part of our journey is we want to be able to take people to calculating a rebate, and that's required for those rebate calculations.
All right. And a follow-up question to that for you, Jason, is are there any fees associated with getting on the website?
There are, and that is how we fund UtilityGenius, to be free to the user base. That's right. So we are charging manufacturers to be listed here, and to allow us to take you on that journey to their website to select products and calculate the rebates. So that's where the fee structure is, so that we can make it free to the users. And those fees are based on the quantity of QPL certified product generally that you have.
Awesome. And if you have any interest in, even if it doesn't necessarily apply to you, just hearing a little bit more about what that looks like and those other products that kind of tie into UtilityGenius, again, drop me an email that is still on your screen, and I can show you those just so you can get a feel for them. All right. So I know we're coming up to the end of time here, so I want to open it to any last questions that people have, any feedback, anything that you'd like to have us answer while we're live on the call. Like I said, if there are any questions that you want to have either answered in a more one-to-one manner, or you just don't feel like asking right now, send me an email. I'll connect you with the right parties or answer it myself, and we will, like I said, get you started. All right. If there are no more questions from the audience right now, thank you again for attending our birthday webinar. And I'm actually going to send it over to our CEO and President, Steve Moritz, for some closing remarks on the first anniversary of UtilityGenius. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Riley. I appreciate everyone attending today's webinar. I'm very excited that we've reached this milestone with UtilityGenius. And most importantly, this works because people find value in it. And as you use it, as you get different feedback, different use cases out of it, please share that feedback with us. This tool is built for industry, for customers, and what's most exciting for me about this product is that it's the people in Incentive Energy that came up with the concept, that built the concept, and managed this. And so, anything you bring to us, our team is excited to hear about and also be responsive to. We're here for you. And so thank you again for attending the webinar, and thanks to everyone at Incentive that made this possible.
All right. And that concludes our first birthday celebration. So thank you everyone for tuning in today. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to email me. And like I said, you keep an eye out for a follow-up email. It will include a recording to this webinar, as well as links to some of the relevant resources that we discussed, including the new and improved Resource Center, our pricing page if you're interested in looking a little bit more into that pro account functionality, and also a link to where the reports live on our website. So thank you. Have a great weekend, everybody. I know it's only Thursday, but thank you for taking time out of your days.
Happy birthday.